If that's not the most predatory tactic, I don't know what is.
I'm a bird, mother. I'm a bird.
Game devs demand players not buy Hollow Knight Silksong.
Another day has passed and the industry has once again proven that despite claiming that they are all for the player's best interest, they are in fact not for the players at all, it seems.
I don't think anyone believes in it. I don't think anyone buys it at any point that they are there and holding the gamer's best interest at any point.
Obviously, Silksong has ruffled some people the wrong way, kind of exploded and left debris everywhere, and now the industry in general is trying to pick up the pieces since. But now Silksong is being attacked by both developer and players alike, and journalists even are claiming that what Team Cherry has done now with Silksong from its surprise release and more is actually a very bad thing for the video games industry, and that Team Cherry must answer for their crimes. And they're also going as far as saying that people shouldn't reward or even buy this sort of game because it enforces particular behaviors.
What?
Let's just get into it. Firstly, from Polygon, the gaming industry deserved more lead time before Silksong. Already, it's
Wait. What kind of behavior is it encouraging? What? People are just having fun with a game that doesn't cost an arm and a limb. Just let people play the game. Me and them played it on stream too, and it was fun. Was it a hard game? 100%. Was it fun? 100%. And we didn't even have to pay for it. We played it through Game Pass, and it was a blast, even though hard.
hostile, but they start their article by saying this. Already no less than 5 games have shifted their planned release dates out of next week, some by months. I really only have just one question. What the hell, you guys? Yeah, they're pissed all right. It really wasn't only them. Necrosoft Games, which is making this Persona-styled RPG called Demon School, also
Why be mad at a game being successful and be all grumpy and move the date of the release? I'm sorry, but the companies who are doing that, the developers who are doing that, they're just showing that they know their game is trash compared to Silksong. They know that their game cannot even stand next to it. So how about instead of being mad at a game that actually piqued the interest of people, you actually are mad at your whole team for not being able to make a proper product? The outrage over the price being too low is funny, since that's usually how much I wait for games to drop at before I think of buying them, with very few exceptions. I think the bottom line is that they are mad that there's a game that people are super excited about playing, and they don't ask you for $80 for it. And it basically shows others that you don't need to ask for $80 for a game. The entitlement of people these days is genuinely astounding, shocking. Apparently, we now have the law of dibs in the gaming industry. I call dibs on this date.
had to delay their game, and how they worded the delay was clearly a jab at Team Cherry. Their publisher, Yisbrid, delayed their game, and let's just read what they said here via Blue Sky as it reads. This was not our choice, but we understand why the choice was made. We aren't mad at Yisbrid, but at the situation. Dropping the Grand Theft Auto of indie games with 2 weeks notice makes everyone freak out. Yisbrid is being a good partner and paying for the delay. We're sorry this is happening. And as you can see in that same statement, Necrosoft Games calls Silksong's surprise release date crueler still, that we should find out with such short notice. Yeah, they're not happy that Team Cherry did what they did with Silksong's release, alright. Polygon also had this big paragraph, which I'll put on screen here for you. I won't read it all, but to paraphrase,
I'm gonna read it all though. I'm so sorry for the inside baseball, but the surprise announcement of release date for a game this important also scatters the gaming press. Over the past weeks, we at Polygon have been sketching out some editorial plans for September. Part of this process involves identifying which games our staff should cover, and then determining which of those staffers actually has the time and bandwidth to cover them appropriately. Whether that's tentpole like Borderlands 4 or comparatively under the radar games like Hirogami. It's a balancing act. Yes, we strive to devote as much time as we can to unearthing hidden gems you may not have otherwise heard of. We also want to provide coverage of games that we know thanks to data tools that Polygon readers love to read about. Now Silksong is here. Guess what we'll devote the bulk of our coverage to? Guess what other sites will likely devote the bulk of their coverage to? Okay, that sounds so petty. Did we really need this paragraph of them justifying? Bro, just do your job. Oh, wait. You're in other companies' pockets, allegedly. Meanwhile, I'm adding a ton of gain to my ignore list because I'm not going to reward this kind of behavior. I absolutely, yeah. No, that's so ridiculous. And we had the same thing when Baldur's Gate 3 dropped. Baldur's Gate 3 dropped on the date they have announced a very long time ago, and all these developers had a meltdown like, oh, they're putting us in a bad light. Now people are gonna be expecting good games from us too. And now we have this happening. It's like same shit, different year.
Basically, they're also really mad at Silksong because Polygon needs to plan each month to allocate which journalists and
Yeah, it's called skill issue. If you don't have a game journalist who is able to just pick up a game, like not a single one, you don't have a single one who's just able to pick up a game, play the game, and write about the game. It shouldn't even take more than 2 days. I'm sorry, but that's the fact.
such, we'll cover which games for the month based on, user interest, I guess. But with Silksong dropping the way that it did, it kind of put a wrench in their system. But to be honest with you, a game like Silksong dropping kind of raises all ships if I'm being real. Because when a big game drops, engagement goes up for, well, everyone really. Meaning that more people will be looking for reviews and guides and let's plays and walkthroughs and opinion pieces and lore videos. And even more.
Okay, there's a double-edged sword with the let's plays and the streams of popular games because a lot of people wouldn't want spoilers either.
Like this video, for example, that you're watching right now, that will fall into that category too. And if you enjoy the content, please consider doing all the YouTube stuff such as subscribing, liking the video, and leaving a comment. It helps like crazy. Thank you. But that's what I mean by Silksong raising all the tides, because it has. It's a blessing for everyone to have such a big game and story drop the way that it has. I mean, you would be an idiot to complain about it otherwise.
Yeah.
And for media websites especially, a game
It's especially for journalists and all these outlets, this is just easy money printing. Why are they even complaining? I understand the other indie devs complaining because they know their game is not as good, but why are they journal outlets complaining? Just do your job. It's like easy money right there.
like Silksong is like pure booger sugar, if you will, for them too. Because it's the sort of game that people will want to find.
Like everything is Silksong right now. You open YouTube, there's Silksong videos. You open Twitch, there's Silksong streams. You open Twitter and check out like anything VTuber related, there's VTuber Silksong assets everywhere. Everyone's just on the hype train. And that's good. It's always good to have something exciting in the gaming industry where everyone just seems to put all the differences aside, unite and have fun. But apparently for these people, that's too good.
All the mask shards, every power to unlock, every boss fight, every upgrade. Perfect. Now just go and make guides for that. Now you got a strong foundation of content for people who either play Silksong now or later on in the future. But I guess they'll still complain either way. But then Polygon says this. Of course, Team Cherry is well within its rights to do what it wants with its new game. And given the buzz around Silksong, no matter how or when it comes out, there's almost no chance this thing doesn't light up the charts. But in the years since Hollow Knight first broke indie game containment, arguably revitalizing an entire subgenre, and not so arguably inspiring countless clones, not to mention literally millions of fans, Team Cherry attained great power. Now here's one for the class. What's the other half of that phrase? They're pulling the Uncle Ben Spider-Man quote. That Team Cherry has great power, but doesn't seem to realize that also means they have great responsibility too.
What are you talking? Just let them get the W. They had to go from one delay to another. Jesus Christ. After years of delay, let them just publish their goddamn game. What the hell? What is this girl's behavior?
too. I mean, fair enough, but you proved why Silksong was needed yourself, Polygon. You said it right there in the paragraph that Hollow Knight before it revitalized an entire subgenre of indie games with Metroidvanias. And then you tell me, isn't that a good thing? That a game like this would come out and will undoubtedly then get people to seek out similar experiences to it as well? Who knows? Maybe they'll go buy and play Hollow Knight 1. Maybe they'll play Bloodstained Ritual of the Night or Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Or Mandragora Whispers of the Witch Tree, which is also a very good game that came out this year too. The point is that, like I said, games like
The problem is the game journalists don't want to cover games. They want to go to galas and write dumb word vomit essays about nothing. I have to agree with that, yeah.
this raise all tides or ships or however the saying goes, I don't know. It's healthy for the industry is what I mean. Well, I guess not the competition in a way, but hey, that's what great products do in the end, right? No matter where they come from. They make people pay attention. But this isn't even the most of what's happening with Silksong. No. It keeps going. You had this Twitch streamer which said this: I can't be the only person who thinks it's kind of effed up for Silksong to reveal its release date so late. Like, man, you're indie developers. You should understand the struggle that studios go through. But that's not...
Am I out of touch or is this person out of touch? I genuinely do not understand where these people are coming from. I don't get it.
Really their job. Plenty of games get announced and released the same day and nobody bats an eye. Didn't Oblivion Remastered get announced and released the exact same day by Bethesda earlier this year? Yeah, they just shadow...
And like each time Oblivion randomly dropped, hell yeah, get the game, stream it, have fun, be obsessed with it. Same with Silksong. Silksong drops, hell yeah, I'm ready. Let's do this.
Dropped a huge open world RPG on people and it did crazy numbers. It's called marketing. It works. You hype people up and then announce something, and then by jangling it in front of them like keys, they end up buying it.
Every time someone says jangling keys, all I'm thinking is about Markiplier going jingle jangle, jingle jangle. Jesus Christ, I'm so brainwashed. My brain is so cooked.
Sure, their competitors might suffer, but ultimately aren't video games also about competition in a way too? It's always been about making your game so good that people have to buy it. That they have to drop what they're doing because your game is now out. Silksong is exactly that. I actually guarantee that many people dropped whatever it was that they were playing in order to play Silksong. And unfortunately that's going to happen. It's not exactly...
I was in the middle of preparing stuff for like my week-long my week break from streaming for like the big procedure I'm getting, and I had like specific plans what I wanted to do on that day. Guess what? It's nice having to just have something drop and all of a sudden all that hype like builds up and you just want to have fun. You just want to experience this new game. I don't understand, especially when it comes to like games and you're either reviewing games or you're streaming games or like making videos of games. I don't understand the whole concept of getting annoyed that something good is dropping. If you enjoy games, wouldn't you just automatically get excited over it?
Exactly, unique to Silksong. That happens to many other games too, but hype is hype for a reason. If Team Cherry announced Silksong's release date 2 months ago or something, sure, it would have been...
It's the same as down the line of people complaining that it's like too hard. So like their mood gets ruined while they're streaming it and blah, blah, blah. Is the game that easy? No, the game isn't easy. In my opinion, at least, the game isn't easy. It is pretty hard. And after I found out and my ass got handed to me by Silksong, me and Zen still figured out how to have fun on stream with it. And we basically were tag teaming it. I think there's a big problem of how people are approaching games and approaching having fun.
Hype still, but the way that they announced it here is why it is such a big deal, because they came out after years of silence and went, here's a new trailer, by the way, we're coming out very soon, see you then. And then boom, they capitalized on the hype, people went bananas, and the rest is history. This would be like some band being, mad that another band shadow dropped their new single. Don't get mad about it. Just get better. As Grum showed here, Oblivion did this too, Apex Legends as well, Hi-Fi Rush, and now Silksong. It works, guys. It's called capitalizing on hype. It makes sense. Getting angry about it just shows that you're jealous more than really anything else. Then that same
Valorant did the same thing. If any of you play competitive games, Valorant was in development. They haven't really been advertising Valorant before it dropped. So what happened was all of a sudden all these big streamers have access to it, and you have to watch their streams to get keys to Valorant as well before it officially drops. And there was so much hype about it, and it just randomly dropped.
Twitch streamer I showed before, someone would comment on their post and say this: which studio will be brave enough to say Silksong can suck my balls? We're not moving. To which they said, I'd pirate Silksong and buy 10 copies of whatever game does that. Wow, so edgy. Pirate.
What? Who is this dude? What? Wait, hold on. The game randomly drops, people are excited, and he's so butthurt about it. I'd pirate Silksong and buy 10 copies of whatever game does that. This is giving me edgelord cringe vibes.
Pirating a $20 game because your butt hurt is really going to do some damage. And speaking of actual pirates, as seen here from PC Gamer, the actual internet pirates of the world are encouraging each other to not pirate the game and actually support it instead, as one pirate said via Reddit. I think I'm just going to buy this one. It's only $20 and I really enjoyed Hollow Knight. I'm sure I won't be mad about spending the money on this one. Good lord, that's what it takes for people to not pirate these days. Well, at least they're buying it, I guess. But you also...
Okay, this is really funny. The self-righteous people are saying go pirate it, and the people who usually pirate it going, I think I'm gonna go buy it. I love it. Okay, now the world is healing.
Also have posts such as this on Reddit where another pirate tells others, yeah guys, maybe we shouldn't pirate this one, which is kind of crazy that your game is so good that even the cheapest of the cheapskates are now opening their wallets to buy it. Sure, they'll pirate these games, but Silksong, maybe this one time they'll pay for their entertainment, I guess. But then again, maybe the industry just dislikes Silksong because it does the one thing that many people in the industry genuinely do not like, which is over-delivering. It actually reminds me of Destiny 2, which is a game franchise that has constantly wowed and also disappointed its fans with seemingly every single release that they've ever done. And it also...
Dang, the Piracy subreddit just proved Gabe right. Piracy is ultimately a service problem. In many times it is. While I do not condone piracy, in many times a lot of people pirate because they think the game is not worth the price tag that is given.
Also reminds me when Justin Truman, that's this guy here on screen, who funnily enough, by the way, is now Bungie's new CEO after Pete Parsons left, was the guy who actually coined the term don't over-deliver. Yeah, I know. I guess we'll see if, he learned from his mistakes, I guess. But anyway, as seen here from Forbes all the way back...
Is the new Bungie CEO?
Back in 2023, Bungie and Destiny were constantly at odds with the players and the mantra of over-delivering content. Okay,
they weren't constantly at odds. They still are constantly at odds. Destiny 2 players think they're entitled to a game, and Bungie thinks they are not.
What does that even mean? As Justin Truman said before he became CEO at the Game Developers Conference once, but at the same time, and this is why this lesson is so painful, so much of quality and delight in our craft comes from over-delivery, from giving folks stuff and beyond what they expected. We still want that. We still want to surprise and delight and sometimes overwhelm our players. But we need to be mindful of the patterns and the implied future commitments we've set for ourselves each time. Justin continues, this is tough, and this is the one honestly we're still grappling the hardest with. It is hard to tell a team that has extra cycles and energy and wants to do something amazing that totally would be amazing and awesome for the game to tell them we should not ship this because it is an over delivery that will set us up for failure on future trains. Well, okay, so what Justin Truman admitted to there with Destiny, and this does tie to Silksong, trust me, is that by not over delivering over-delivering by withholding content that could have been made in the next content cycle, that Bungie did that on purpose so players wouldn't expect more from them for future expansion.
Set the bar so low that every morsel you feed out to people, they feel like they are being rewarded for it. If that's not the most predatory tactic, I don't know what is.
And like Justin admitted, it wasn't that the developers couldn't deliver the content. They could. He even said they had the extra energy and the cycle to do it. But instead, it was their leadership that didn't want to, because they could shave off parts of whatever expansion they had at the time to then piecemeal it for future money and installments. And how did that work out for Bungie? Terribly. They actually faced mass layoffs a year back, which was considered unheard of at Bungie, yet it happened because they missed their sales targets. And their newest expansion, Edge of Fate, was down nearly 50% and then some in terms of pre-orders, and player numbers are also in the dumps. But that's what Bungie wanted, I guess. They wanted to not over-deliver, and by not over-delivering, which, let's be real, would simply be considered standard delivery.
What happened to, hey, let's make something where people are very excited? Like, here's it kind of reminds me of Toddy. Honestly, if you would have like switched out the name, instead of Bungie said Bethesda, I would be like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Delivering like 10 years ago maybe, they instead drip-fed content and then overcharged for it constantly to keep players' wallets and their engagement intact. And it has backfired on them. I stopped playing Destiny 2. You could buy multiple copies of Silksong for the price of a single expansion of Destiny 2, and even then you still probably couldn't play the game because you're missing the other expansions. I mean, Destiny 2 even has armor bundles that are worth more than Silksong in its entirety, so no wonder the developers and the gaming journalists don't seem to like Silksong, because it is, in their opinion, over-delivering with, again, if Silksong were to release as it was right now, let's say maybe 10 years ago, we would all just consider it to be a normal standard release and there would be zero controversy. But no, not these days. Games are constantly cutting themselves up into smaller pieces, especially in AAA, because why give you 100% of the content for the money that you just spent on it when they can just
Well, the problem in the gaming industry goes further and deeper than that. It's not even about having the content and slicing it up into DLCs, but just to print more money. But it's also the fact that even the part you do get in the game, it's not finished. It's not finished. It's not optimized. So you get like 50% of the game, but you will be able to experience only 20% of that 50% because the rest is worked out, not accessible, and just a horrible experience because of the constant lags and bugs that they're having paying users test for them.
cut off 10% of the content here, 20% off this expansion, maybe 5% off this one too. And then they can make a season out of all that meager content and then trick you into buying a battle pass as well. And then drip feeding you that content every week in, with like recorded voice lines, I guess, if that's enough, to keep you just invested in the story to, come back next week for your next slop meal. This model isn't working. People are sick and tired of this way of playing their video games.
Yeah.
It's why I tend to just steer clear of almost every game that pushes this sort of nonsense, because it's just not for me. Silksong doesn't even ask you to connect to the internet to authenticate it. I mean, imagine that. Most single player games these days, from AAA studios at least, they want you to sign in to an external account so they can collect your information. So it's really no wonder why they don't want you to buy Silksong or play it or praise it or expect experiences to be like it, because it is, in the opinion of what the industry considers the standard, over delivering. You're getting a whole game, a whole kingdom with multiple pathways to explore and 40 or so bosses, all these tools and gadgets, roughly about 200 enemy types in total, plus it all runs at launch flawlessly and also doesn't ask you to open your wallet every 5 minutes. Nope, sorry, it's over delivery, guys. This is just not good, apparently. How could Team Cherry do this to the industry, setting these unrealistic standards which are not unrealistic?
It's literal copy paste from when Baldur's Gate 3 dropped. How could you make such a good quality game? Now you're making us look bad.
Realistic, by the way. They were actually the industry standard just a few years ago, but please ignore that and just eat the slop instead. No,
Oh
no.
God.
Silksong is what people want. Clair Obscur is also what people want. They
Mm.
just want games that are worth the price that they're paying. They don't
Yeah.
want to be nickeled and dimed all the time. I hate what a lot of gaming has become.
And I'm glad he brought up Expedition 33. It's another game that showcased that whatever these companies are asking as a price is an exaggeration from them because they want to hit a specific income quota with their annual income going higher and higher.
Again, it's why I walked away from Destiny, because really, what's the point of playing a game like that anymore? Now, in their newest content, your gear doesn't even matter because everything just sunsets every 6 months anyway. So, what's the point? These games in AAA, at least, are just, they're being designed, honestly, as hamster wheels. They're just there to keep you running endlessly, grinding constantly, just one more bounty mission, just one more weekly challenge, and then you'll get that weapon or armor piece or upgrade that you need so badly, only until the next season or expansion launches, and then everything you have is practically worthless. And now
Yeah.
you've wasted your time, but hey, at least the company's metrics on their bank account looks good, right? I actually think one of the best things you can genuinely do these days is to just buck the trend, so to speak. Stop playing all of these always online games constantly. I mean, they're not meant to fulfill you. They just want your money and your time. Two things.
I heavily disagree with what he's trying to push here because there's a lot of online games that do reward you for the time and the grinding you put in. I think he's looking at it so narrow-minded, and it's also a problem of what kind of online games he's playing. Would I be putting this time right now, like all this time, money, and effort into Destiny 2? No. I think only a person with no self-respect would do that to themselves at this point. Am I putting this time and effort into Marvel Rivals? 100%. It feels rewarding getting better at the game. It feels rewarding buying the battle pass because it actually is a good value of the kind of skins you get, to a point where I don't have to buy any skins that are exclusively out of the store skins because every battle pass you get enough points to buy in-store skins. So it depends on what kind of online games you play. Some are good, some are bad. And the same thing is applying to offline games. And the skins look sick? Yes, they do. They really do.
You can't get back from these companies anyways, and you should instead play more single player games. Because mark my words,
So yeah, don't listen to everything he's saying about online games. I think there is definitely a pretty heavy bias here when it comes to online or offline games. I play both. I love offline games and I love online games. Both of them have their own appeal.
awards time this year, it'll be between Silksong and Clair Obscur for pretty much everything.
Okay, question to everyone. Do you think it's a matter if you like competitive games, that's when you prefer the online games? If your personality is that you love that competitive drive in games like the leaderboard climb and grinding out a specific rank. Is that the difference between offline and online players?
I frankly don't see any other game getting anything award-wise from these two unless the category is something like best multiplayer, which obviously neither game could apply to, I guess, but Silksong is not over-delivery. It should be the standard. Another user on Blue Sky cried about Silksong 2. Here's what they said. As developers of a very famous and successful game, they have the responsibility to know how much their follow-up is eagerly anticipated, and they should be expecting that its release will overshadow other releases in the indie space. Therefore, they should have, I don't know, maybe announced the day in June at least. No, they have no reason to adhere to some weird code or mantra that you think is right. They're free to do as they please. But then again, this same user as seen here has been playing Silksong and has nothing to say but negative things about it. They think the game's too hard, it's mentally draining, and they're not having a
Why?
lot of fun. You ask me, it's a skill issue is all I got to say to people like this. Just get
This I have to agree with him. I think it's a skill issue with Silksong. And I see a lot of our viewers, you guys specifically like the offline PvE experience with some sprinkling of competitive. Which is funny, considering all of you do watch us play PvP. Not PvP, not PvP, specifically like online competitive ranking.
get good and stop complaining. But the stupidity doesn't end there, because the same user would then say this. By the way, Team Cherry absolutely has.
Wait, I'm curious about this. Oh, also, man, it would be nice if any of the big enemies were at all fun to fight and had more than 2 to 3 moves that they just randomly popped one after another with no variation whatsoever. As much as I was molding and crashing out of Silksong, it was kind of interesting figuring out how to defeat them.
End there, because the same user would then say this. By the way, Team Cherry absolutely had the responsibility of giving a heads up about the release of Silksong and accommodating other indie developers in regards to it. Art isn't made in a vacuum. And as indie developers, they absolutely should know how hard it is for other indie devs to be. If the industry listened to people like
Okay, but is it fair to ask another indie developers to hinder themselves and hinder and pull back on the product they're delivering because other indie developers cannot match up to their product? I think it's being unfair towards an indie developer who want to provide a good product. So just saying that is so up. The fact that we have to even discuss that, okay, just because your product isn't as good, it doesn't give you the right to pull someone else down who wants to make a good product.
this, you would have 12 games maybe total released every calendar year, because then nobody is allowed to release in the same window as someone else. Oh, you want to release your indie game on this day? Sorry, that day's already taken, and so's the whole month or the whole year. You have already been booked because we don't want to step on anyone's toes. Yeah, no, that's not how any of this works, but their stupidity then continues with this. Team Cherry isn't a corporate team. They're indie. They should care about the success of their peers in a competitive space.
No. Each company needs to only care about their success. This is not Mother Teresa of gaming. Each of them is a company, and each of them, the indie developers who are complaining, if they would be able to, they would throw anyone under the bus just to hit a specific sales quota.
If they didn't want to care, they should have sold themselves to a bigger game corporation. If they want to be indie, they can't not care about community. Ah yes, Gigabrain move there. Team Cherry is so successful and they're such a threat that the actual best case scenario in this person's head is to sell themselves to someone like Activision instead. You ask me, this person should never give advice on games or business or anything ever again. They should probably just be mandated to wear a Hannibal Lecter mask, and it should only be removed to eat food or drink water with opinions as stupid as these. Then you had Joseph Morin, who runs a gaming podcast, who said this via Twitter. I think Silksong's 2-week PR push has done some damage to other indie studios.
How?
I don't think Team Cherry thought about the impact this game would have on other indies and their marketing. I
Oh
think
my
that's a bummer
God.
that I hope isn't replicated, to be honest. Games release all the time, dude. Literally every single day. Big games will come out too. It's just how it is. Frankly, it
Yeah.
just kind of sounds like people are mad that the game is making money and they aren't. Then you had this post here where apparently indie developers are no longer comfortable pricing their games thanks to Silksong. I covered something similar in my previous video, but to reiterate, just price your game how you think it should cost.
Yeah,
Don't worry about
exactly.
Silksong.
I think the gaming industry wouldn't be AAA or indie gaming. I think there's an obvious amount of rot happening there with a lot of comparing, a lot of pissing contests, and a lot of, well, it should have been me. I'm better. It should have been me. I don't know. Right now, all these indie studios complaining are just helping me make a list of which indie publishers to just ignore. If they're complaining about someone working on their game and loving their game and putting so much effort, if that's the issue for them, it's not something I would be comfortable buying games from. You're already gonna know that they are not putting any effort into their own games.
If people like the game, they'll buy it. As simple as that. At best, what you could probably do, I guess, is maybe release a demo beforehand so people can judge the game for themselves before they buy
Yeah.
it. But then you had this developer who would talk about sales prices and Silksong being $20. Here's what they said. I don't think it is a particularly hot take, but indie games should cost more and indies can't take the risk to do so. The fact that the people working on no next to no budget have to basically give their game game away or else, and people will still complain about the price sucks. Again, nobody is telling you to not price your game $20 or $30. That's up to you. The price
Or just make an approach at a free demo of your game so people can experience it, get hooked on it, and then go buy their game. I have done this many times where I will check out indie developers and indie games. I will go play the free demo, and then if I enjoy it, I buy the game. It happens so many times. Just do that. Unless you're afraid that a demo of your game will just solidify to people that they don't want to play your game.
thing really starts to matter once we start reaching $50 to maybe $80 per game, depending on what's an offer, I guess. And since most indie games are short and can be done fast, I think $25 is a sweet spot for me personally. But once you get close to the whole $40 mark, I'm then gonna expect something at least AA, maybe not indie. But again,
I mean, I spend money on an indie game that is like $50 plus, and I had no regret because guess what? There was a demo. I was able to go check it out, and I went, okay, this is gonna be worth the money because I know I'm gonna play it a lot, and it was worth every single cent.
mostly just sounds like people who are angry at Silksong for being $20 again. And then Kerbrutus, who's a friend of the channel, replied to a guy complaining about Silksong being too cheap, to which he said, get good and start lowering the prices. And yeah, basically that. Like I said in other videos, people are already strained for money due to everything that isn't video games. It's not their concern to leverage or barter you for the price of your product. They already have bills to pay and more. You either got to charge less if your game isn't of a, quality standard, or I guess be confident enough that your game is so amazing that people have to buy it at $80 or whatever it is that you're charging for it. But holding your belly and crying won't really solve anything because it never has, and trying to form a pity party would,
If anything, it will just make people not want to buy your game. I can guarantee you there's a lot of people right now looking at all these indie devs and indie publishers bitching and moaning about it and putting them on their ignore list.
will just make people just kind of recoil in the sight of you, and I mean, who can blame them? And here's Kerbrutus again, showing updated numbers for Silksong on Steam and poking fun at gaming journalists and developers who are mad about Silksong's success and price.
And that's just on Steam.
Look, these people can try all they want to sway others from buying Silksong, claim that it's too cheap, it's not fair, or buying it will harm the industry, which in turn means that they're subconsciously trying to make you not buy the game to prove their point, but it really won't work. People are tired, man. They're tired of the BS in the industry. They're tired of the BS in the world too, just in general. And all they really want is a good game that runs well at release, that respects their time and money, and gives them the escapism that they want. If that somehow offends you on any level, the problem is really not Silksong, and it's likely you. Team Cherry does not owe anyone an apology for what they did here, because if any one of these people and more that were complaining in this video were also in the position of Team Cherry, they would be totally fine with the release date and would be laughing their way to the bank and wouldn't care at all, and you know it. It's simply jealousy is what it always is, and trying to desperately contain a status quo where they want you to pay more for less. And
It's jealousy and the amount people are comfortable with playing the victim card. I think it plays a huge part in why people are acting this way these days. Oh, this game is doing better than me. Let me go on social media, play the victim so people feel bad for me. And guess what? People are so tired of this that when they see you play the victim out of nonsense and pettiness like this, you will end up pissing on your own leg.
And never complain about it. But as this year has proved with game prices, the overwhelming majority are not okay with it. And if your only solution to the problem is to screech and yell at people, you lost the plot already a long time ago. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Is Silksong...
And just for clarification for everyone who's confused, it's not just the indie companies having meltdowns over this, having meltdowns over Silksong. It's ex-Blizzard employees, it's EA developers, it's Sony developers. They all are having issues with Silksong right now because of the numbers they're reaching.